What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, Slade's Sanctuary. Thank y'all so very much for being here. And like, share, subscribe if you like my energy and appreciate me, because I appreciate y'all too. But today we're talking about ego versus soul. Okay, and this is a very interesting spiritual concept because a lot of times we can get confused with who this is, who the ego is, who the soul is, and how we can find that harmonious balance between which one we should be listening to and which one we are acting off of. The ego is the energy, which I like to say is the immature child within us. And so I like to believe that the ego is the most innocent, sweet part of us. Like I said, it's that inner child. And it's the one that wants to be the movie star or to basically achieve your dreams, whatever they may be. But this is also the one who puts on the logical frame of mind. And so if something didn't go the way you wanted it to one time, then if you try to do it again, your ego warns you. It's the one who wants to protect you. It's because it remembers everything and it's very easily damaged. And I like to think that the ego is also very in tune with our logical frame of mind. Okay, and this is because based off of emotional feelings that we felt and occurrences in the past, it builds up these rules and these laws for us to know what we can and cannot do, even though the truth is there is nothing we cannot do. Now the soul knows this, but the ego does not. And this is because the ego only knows what it is. It doesn't know anybody else. It doesn't even hear the soul. It doesn't see it. All it sees is itself. And so the ego can often get really big. It can think that it's the only one that's right, or that it's always right, and that it's always going to protect you, and that it is all-knowing. This is why often when you see people have an ego death, this is somebody who finally gives up the will to control everything, or to feel like, basically that they have to do everything within their power to attain what they want. Okay, they don't believe in superstition. They don't believe in spiritual beliefs. They only can believe what they can practically understand. People with big egos often disregard others. They don't see the connection between the self and other people and how everyone kind of has a little piece of us in there. No, the ego can only see what it sees, and that is ourselves. The soul is something that exists within all of us before we even get to this planet. Okay, before we are born, there is this old, kind of repressed place within us, but it's deeply in tune with our whole divine nature, and this is the soul. The soul's voice is often very quiet, so it communicates to everybody in its own different way. Personally, for me, it communicates in a very sweet but very soft voice as well. And so the soul, when you hear it talking to you, this is mostly when you feel very open, very fluid, and this is the truth of you flowing through you. Now, all of us can hear the ego. The ego is that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that tells you you need to work hard, that tells you that you are the shit. Okay, whatever it tells you, good or bad, this is the one that's very loud. You can hear the ego all over the place, but this is also the one that will make you feel worried, trapped, and limited. Okay, the ego is the only voice that we have that limits us. It feels restriction, it feels pressure. And this is because from what it can logically conceptualize in your reality, it wants to put things in place and so that you're always taken care of. And so it's like, say you have a bill due on the 20th of October, right? And it's like, okay, well, make sure you save that paycheck that you get on the 15th so that you'll be able to pay all of your bills and that everything will be okay for us and that we will be able to survive. Whereas the soul knows that it will be okay. And it doesn't even actually really worry about its own well-being, because the soul knows that afterlife is not ending. It's not just completely gone. We do something else, whatever that means for y'all. I'm not trying to force that belief onto you about what happens after death, but the soul is that little being inside of us that always knows that everything is okay. And it's because it understands things that the ego can't even conceptualize. The ego is probably what you would regard as your truest self because it's all you've ever known. However, the soul is actually the truest self. The soul expands over various lifetimes, various experiences. Of course, this depends on what you believe. Like I said, I'm not trying to force this on you, but in a spiritual perspective, this is what the soul, at least from my own understanding, is. The soul always feels peaceful, and it will never put any judgment onto you for anything that's occurred. And this is because that the soul knows every experience we go through is needed for us to grow and expand, okay? Even if we went through something that was really difficult and it was hard to really process, and it could have even been traumatic, the soul knows that this was a place on our journey for the sheer experience of it, okay? So we could learn from it, so that we could see that we could rise up after being defeated, or at least always feeling defeated from having this occurrence happen in our life. The soul also rejoices when there are good things in our life, but the difference here is that ego is the one who needs the external to really conceptualize, okay, what's good and what's bad. The soul internally knows it's functioning properly. Everything's good. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. But the ego is the one that says, I need to have this amount of money in my bank account to be happy. I need to be in this kind of relationship, or be doing this kind of thing, or be noticed by this amount of people every day, or however, it works for you to be happy. It relies on all of these external expectations because, like I said, this is conceptualizing everything else from an external point of view. And this leads me to say that the ego sees things for what it wants them to be, okay? And this is because the ego only knows the self. It only knows what you've been through in your personal circumstances. And so going into the future, the ego is going to use your personal examples to base everything off of in a logical setting. Whereas the soul sees things for exactly what they are. Good, bad, whatever it may be, you will feel this on an emotional level and it won't compute into complete words. So this is like, the feeling you get when you meet somebody new. If you're really vibing with them, really liking their energy, the soul may know this person is good for your growth. Maybe not good for you overall, like your ego would see them, but good for you because it's going to make you grow. This person could end up breaking your heart or causing you a lot of stress, but you will rise again, and the soul knows that. Whereas the ego may get those good vibes from somebody immediately and think, oh my God, this is my soulmate. And then when they get their heart broken, they're like, why did I think that? And it's like, no, you were just feeling the energy. Okay, that was the soul's energy communicating that to you and saying, yes, this person is good, but maybe not good for our inner child that wants to stay safe. Okay, our inner child has to interact with the world and it has to grow up. It has to mature through going through certain types of experiences that we agreed to before we came here. And so overall, I made this video to really give you a chance to really consider this belief and this ideology of the ego and the soul, because once you know how each one is communicating to you, you can know, okay, now let me listen to my soul because I'm stressing right now. I'm going through shit, I'm struggling, I'm all over the place. I'm done listening to that ego that tells me I'm not good enough. I want to be good enough. My soul knows that I'm good enough, so let me tune into that voice. And of course, how do you discern between the two, or how do you really shut the first one, the ego up, is getting into a quiet space, okay? Because the ego is that overactive mind. It's that anxiety that runs through your head. And so listening to music or really indulging in any type of activity that calms you down, okay? Maybe it could be breath work for some of y'all. It could be meditation. It could be painting, working out, whatever that is. It's basically just giving your mind time to not focus on what is worried, okay? Or what needs to be done in a timely manner. Taking yourself out of that worry spot, that stress spot of fixing every routine daily issue that you feel like needs to get done today, okay? Take a step back and realize that tomorrow will come, and after that the next day, and this is only one day of existence, so there's no need to do everything today. So of course, like I said, indulging in activities that make you feel relaxed, calm, or even enjoyed can help you really listen to that soul, because the soul is really quiet. At least it is for me. For some of y'all, it may be louder. And like I said, learning how to really listen to the soul and quiet the ego gives you harmony. It gives you balance in life. It allows life to feel lighter because you know that all because one voice said one thing does not mean it's the end of the world for you, okay? Because I know a lot of us struggle with these internal voices that are really self-critical, and that's our ego right there. And so learning how to quiet that down and recognize that, hey, this is my ego, okay? This isn't the truth of me. This is just a product of my programming. However, knowing that you can change this by listening to that soul is really powerful. It can make you feel a lot lighter on your feet and go throughout life in a happy demeanor. And this is in no way to try to demonize the ego or say the ego is bad. Okay, the ego is a complete necessity. I feel like the ego is the most human part of us. The soul is whatever we were before we even came here. Okay, I don't want to define that for you. But of course, this is just my personal ideology and what I've learned through modern spirituality and what really helps me out. So of course, take it as food for thought and play around with this ideal to see if it can help you throughout your daily life. And of course, accepting your ego for exactly what it is, but not, taking everything on that it says, and recognizing that you can, heal this ego, manipulate it in a different way so that it's not so self-critical. And so it actually serves you instead. Because the goal in this process is really to nurture and accept both halves of yourself, okay, all the parts of yourself, and really embody that and know that you are fine the way you are. However, you can always grow, you can always change through changing your mind and opening it to new perspectives. But this is all I had on this video, and I know it's longer than usual, but I just had to say my little spiel about the soul and the ego, what they mean to me, and how it can potentially help you in your reality. But yes, this is all I had, so thank y'all so very much for watching. Comment down below how this resonated for you, and if I missed anything. If you have different perspectives on what the ego and the soul is, like I say, I would love to learn from y'all, because I want to hear a different perspective. I want to play around with those ideals and see how I can maybe manage and shift my mind in a different way to make myself better. So again, like, share, subscribe, because that helps me out and I appreciate it, and I hope I see y'all soon.